October 21st, 1978. A Cessna 182 being flown by a young aspiring pilot named Frederich Valentich is flying over the Bass Strait, a body of water on the southern part of Australia and northern Tasmania. The flight is part of regular flight training Frederich has to undergo. What was supposed to be a relatively short routine flight from Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne to King Island Airport in Tasmania turned into one of the most bizarre cases of an unexplained disappearance the world has ever seen. Just a short 124-mile flight, estimated to be completed in less than an hour, was never completed. What happened to Frederich Valentich? Is it possible he used the flight as an excuse to run away from home? Could he have crashed into the ocean? Not likely. You see, Frederich was in contact with air traffic control for the duration of the flight. Right before Frederich disappeared, he had reported strange lights and an unidentified flying object following him. Frederich vanished into thin air on a moment's notice, flying over the Bass Strait. In this video, we will dive into the mystery and unexplained disappearance of Frederich Valentich. Upon taking off, everything went according to plan. Frederich went over his pre-flight checks and got ready for takeoff. Once in the sky, everything was fine, until Frederich began to observe strange behavior. At approximately 7:06 p.m., the final radio transmission of Frederich began. 7:06, Melbourne, this is Delta Sierra Juliet. Is there any traffic below 5,000 feet? 7:07, Delta Sierra Juliet, no known traffic. 7:08, I'm sure there is. There's a large aircraft below 5,000. 7:09, what type of aircraft is it? 7:09, I cannot confirm. It's hovering and it's not an aircraft. 7:10, Delta Sierra Juliet, what is your position? 7:10, I'm near King Island at about 5,000 feet. I'm unable to identify this aircraft that is near me. 7:11, Delta Sierra Juliet, confirm your position. What is the aircraft doing now? 7:12, it's hovering and it's got a bright light. I'm trying to stay clear of it. 7:12, Delta Sierra Juliet, are you able to maintain position? 7:13, it's moving a little bit. I don't know what it is, but it's approaching me. It's a UFO. The final transmission at 7:13 p.m. was the last known existence of Frederich. His transmission was abruptly cut off, his plane vanished from air traffic control radars, and he was never seen or heard from again. His final transmissions fueled the belief that Frederich may have indeed been abducted by UFOs, but many skeptics refuse to believe that he was simply abducted and believe his final transmissions point to evidence of human error such as disorientation or mechanical issues with the Cessna. Upon losing connection and a sudden abrupt end of Frederich's radio transmission, air traffic control alerted the authorities and began a search for Frederich. Australian and Tasmanian authorities searched both coastlines for any wreckage or evidence left behind of Frederich or the Cessna he was flying. Immediate searches consisted of boats in the area patrolling the waters and looking for any wreckage, and planes flying near the route to see if anything could be seen from above. Further evaluation of the radio transmissions seemed to sound genuine from Frederich's tone, sounding increasingly concerned as the events transpired. Investigation of the Cessna's maintenance yielded no significant issues, the plane was working fine. The investigation even went and questioned locals, asking if they had observed any strange UFO activity the night Frederich disappeared. And a couple of people did report UFO activity, but it was never followed up on. The physical manhunt lasted for days, and not a single piece of evidence was ever found. The disappearances fueled a multitude of theories and speculation. The first theory, and the most popular one, is that Frederich was the victim of an alien abduction or encounter that explains the sudden disappearance without a trace. This theory is also fueled by the fact that Frederich specifically reported seeing a UFO in the air with him prior to his disappearance, along with a couple reports of UFO activity and lights in the air that night. Not a single piece of evidence ever being recovered, and the radio transmission. The UFO theory definitely seems to have some validity. The second most popular theory is that Frederick's disappearance is simply a case of pilot error. Most people believe that Frederich may have become disoriented while flying, and maybe even mistook the planet Venus for a strange light following him, since the planet was visible in the night sky while Frederich was flying. The theory states that Frederich most likely went into a panic and crashed into the ocean. The third theory is that Frederich may have had a mechanical issue arise as he was flying, causing him to crash into the ocean, which is highly unlikely since the aircraft's maintenance records were all up to date and showed proper maintenance of the Cessna. A smaller, less viable theory is that he may have crashed into another aircraft while flying. This, however, is highly unlikely since air traffic control for either Tasmania or Australia would have been tracking both aircraft and known that they had collided. A final theory is that Frederich may have even staged the disappearance in an effort to run away from home or escape something. Some people even speculate that Frederich may have purposely planned to use this final flight as a suicide. But upon investigation and speaking with Frederick's friends and family, they strongly doubt that he would feel compelled to do such a thing. There aren't many explanations as to how or why this could have happened. The lack of wreckage, the radio transmissions ending abruptly, the Cessna disappearing suddenly from air traffic control radars. Frederick's disappearance is completely unexplainable. The disappearance was so unexplainable that the Australian Transport Safety Bureau actually came out in the 90s, over a decade after the disappearance, and stated that they could not definitely explain what happened to Frederich and were formally closing the investigation and writing it off as human error. But they also stated that they do not believe it was a UFO abduction. And since there has been no breakthrough or reopening in the investigation, this means that the disappearance of Frederich remains unsolved and unexplained to this day. The bizarre and unexplainable disappearance of Frederich Valentich stands as one of the most peculiar cases of a missing person. The absence of debris and lack of any leads by search parties and investigation further adds to the mystery. The disappearance of Frederich is also notable in the UFO community for helping strengthen the existence of aliens. What do you think happened? Was he abducted by aliens? Or somehow managed to sink to the bottom of the ocean, leaving behind zero wreckage? The disappearance of Frederich Valentich remains as one of Australia's most famous unsolved mysteries. Thank you for watching Psychosis.